Today's episode of the Riderflex podcast is sponsored by our friends at Zero Shoes, the most comfortable, versatile sandals and shoes your feet will ever love. Enjoy the fun and benefits of natural barefoot movement everywhere you go. Learn more about them at zeroshoes.com. And on today's episode of the Riderflex podcast, living a life without regrets. I got that from Erica Pearson, who was recently a guest on the Riderflex podcast, the co-founder and CEO of Vacation Fund. You know, she really inspired me to remind you, the Riderflex podcast listener, to try and live your life professionally without regrets, right? I didn't do that the first half of my professional life. I think I've done a much better job of that the second half, or the most recent quarter of my life, I guess, if you will. You know, I used to chase a lot of material things. I used to chase a certain promotion or a certain title. I'd move my family across the country to crappy places to do that. I don't do that anymore. And I think I just thought it was a great topic. And one of the things I wanted to mention, the tip really of the episode is this. If you haven't visited a senior citizens center, lately, go visit with a few 85-year-olds, a few 80-year-olds, and ask them, what do they regret? Yeah, just ask them. Most of the time, it's going to be tied to experiences or things they didn't try that they wanted to, and it probably won't be tied around material things or a certain job or a certain title. They probably won't reference a company they worked for. They probably won't reference, a certain car they wanted. Probably not. It's probably going to be tied to some type of experience that they wished they had went after. And a lot of times you'll find that they are entrepreneurs at heart. Many of them probably had a business idea or something, and they could have tried their own business, but they never did. A lot of it will be tied to that. Now, of course, the number one thing they're going to mention is probably something around family or something personal, like a relationship that they wish they would have had that was better or whatever. But my point is this. I think a lot of us driving to work every day, by the way, I don't have to drive to work every day because I work virtually. So I feel sorry for you if you're listening to this podcast and you're driving to work in a 1-hour commute, because that sucks. See how that's tied to regret? There you go. There you go, right there. If you're spending seven years in a shitty commute, that's going to be something you regret. I promise you. My point is really this. Sorry, I'm rambling just a tad, but my point is this. Just ask yourself, if life was over right now, okay, if you found out tomorrow that you were sick and you were going to die in a year, God forbid, what would you regret? And try to make changes on that starting tomorrow, okay? And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.